and welcome to the Alpha Movement Podcast, and in particular the Mindset RX series of the Alpha Movement Podcast. Now, my name is Tom Foxley, and you may have noticed over the last 5, 6, maybe 10 shows that I've been chopping and changing the format of these shows. The idea being that I'm going to give you a much more balanced and insightful view into the world of mindset for functional athletes. And sometimes I've been interviewing the best in the world. Sometimes I've been discussing my own techniques that I use with the athletes that I train, and of course myself. And the aim behind this is to give you a bigger picture and to help you start implementing some of this training into your own life. And today is going to be something completely different to even those things. And I've only done this once before, but I'm actually going to be interviewing one of my athletes. This athlete's called Jasper Thomson. She's fantastic. She crushed the Inner Athlete Performance Camp, did fantastically. But there's two reasons. Of course, the first reason is because I think that if you're listening to this and you've got an interest in it, the Inner Athlete Performance Camp that I host probably 6 times a year at the moment is something you should definitely be interested in. And of course that's part of it, but there's a bigger purpose here as well, and that is to start to show you the side of mindset that you can start implementing. For example, where Jasper was in her journey, how she applied this to her athleticism, and then how that changed. So we'll go over the biggest things that she did, the biggest takeaways, and all of that will be condensed in the next 15 minutes or so in a chat that we have. And of course, if you are interested in the Inner Athlete Performance Camp, there'll be a batch starting in January. This is kind of like the start of the interest generation for the next Inner Athlete Performance Camp. So be starting mid-January. If you're interested, there's already 3 spots taken out of the maximum of 10 people that I'll be taking on board. So if you head over to mindsetrx.com/coaching, you'll find out a bit more about it, or feel free to find me on the socials and shoot me a message over that. And if you are interested in that, that'd be great to hear you. If you're not, then just listen to the show, take as much from it as you can, and I'll see you on the other side.
I am Jasper Thomson. I am from Ontario, Canada. I am a chiropractor, and I am a CrossFit athlete who is trying to go to the games one day.
Cool.
That's probably how I'd
Perfect.
Yeah.
What level were you at before you started the Inner Athlete Performance Camp?
So last year I made it to regionals for the first time in the East region. So when I started the Inner Athlete Performance Camp, I had that was the last, I guess that was the highest I've been. Yeah.
Nice. And what was it? Actually, do you remember how you found out about the work I do and the athletes I work with, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I actually listened. I don't know how I came across your podcast, but somehow I came across it, and I was listening to one with somebody who had gone through the camp already, and just the things that he was saying, and I don't know, it just really spoke to me, and so that kind of prompted me to look into it further, and then I got in contact with you, and then the rest was history there.
Perfect. And what was the biggest reason that you decided to go ahead with the Inner Athlete Performance Camp?
I think the biggest thing that that I was lacking was between the ears. So I knew that I felt like there was just so much more potential. It's not that I wasn't trying to work on it myself, but I just felt like there was so much more that I had to give. And I felt like my mindset was played a huge role in that. And when I listened to that podcast, just some of the things that he was saying about how he was beforehand to how he was afterwards really spoke to me. And then when I spoke with you, I kind of sent you a message, and one of the things that you said to me back was that it was just going to basically free your mind a little bit and just allow you to just explore this whole new area, go deeper, with everything, you know, in CrossFit, but the rest of life. And that just really, really spoke to me, which is exactly at that time what I was looking for. So
nice. And have you tried anything, like any mindset work or anything that anyone would term as mindset-y?
Yeah. So that was another thing that was hard. And I think I mentioned this to you when I first got in contact with you, was just that I felt so overwhelmed with how much there is out there. And so I found that I was just trying so many different things, and I didn't know what was good, what was working, what wasn't working. But I think the best thing that I came across was journaling in the morning. So before I had started the camp, I was journaling every morning. But other than that, I didn't really know. I kind of dabbled in a few things, but I didn't really know where to go from there.
Nice. I just want to say as well, I think it's important to bring up that you absolutely crushed. Well, we're still got, was it a week left or one call left? Absolutely crushed it. You did absolutely everything I asked of and more. So that's a huge hats off to you. What was like, but obviously there must have been some sort of, like, because we didn't know each other that well before we started. We'd had a few conversations, but leaving yourself kind of open and vulnerable to a conversation. And there must be some sort of apprehension about how the course would go. So how were you feeling beforehand?
Yeah, I was definitely nervous. Mostly because I just finished chiropractic college within the last 2 years. And so my debt is quite large. So for me to, invest money into something, it's a big deal to me. I want to make sure that, you know, that I'm investing in something that is smart and not, just for no reason. And, it was definitely a leap of faith at the beginning, for sure. It was, I knew that because I had listened to your podcasts, I knew that I was in the same, headspace as you. So I knew that we meshed that way. And the things that you had said to me beforehand, I was definitely excited, but I of course I was apprehensive. But one of the things you said to me at the beginning that really kind of locked me in was, that you said, listen, if you don't like it after the first month, then I'll give you all your money back. And just the confidence that you had with that, I was like, I'm sold. Like, if he feels that strongly about it, that, he's willing to risk that, then I know that this is where I need to be. And it was the best decision I made.
Perfect. No, that's the tagline there, the best decision. Let me go along with the biggest takeaway that you've got from the course. If you're going to implement one thing, or you could go back and just implement one of the things, what would it be?
Okay. One thing. Wow. That's hard because there's so many things that I've learned. Okay. One thing, the most important thing would probably be, I think the minimum effective dose. One thing that you had said last week, and I might butcher what you said exactly, but you had said that, you know what? I have it written down. Let me look and see what it was, just so I don't completely butcher it.
It's all right. Feel free to butcher away. This.
Okay, so it was complexity is the enemy of execution, and that right there is, if I could take one thing away, it would be that, because before I started, I was just trying everything. Doing so many things that I couldn't keep up with it. So I'd start something, and halfway through it, I'd be starting something new. Halfway through that, I'd be starting something new. Things would just fall to the wayside. So nothing would ever work. And that was one of the first things that you had mentioned was, listen, we're just going to do the minimum effective dose, one thing at a time. You don't need to sit and journal for 45 minutes. Maybe it's only 5, and that was huge for me, just massive. That would definitely be the one takeaway I'd take away.
Nice. And what was the change as a result of that? What was the biggest benefit, or how did your energy change as a result of
that? Well, first of all, things started working.
Crazy.
So yeah, it's crazy. You know, like I don't know. My mindset has always been that I need to do everything, right? I need to do everything all at once. I need to be going constantly. And so the thought of doing something small just seemed like I was living small. But it actually was the complete opposite. Doing something small was all that I needed to do in order to keep that chain of events going each day, every day moving forward. And when you add all those little chain of events up, they add up to this big, massive thing that you've now created. And that was huge and continues to be huge for me because it's changing my my CrossFit, but it's not just CrossFit. It's also everything in my life too. My relationship, my work, everything. It's transferred over to other things too. And instead of now looking for, how much can I possibly fit into these 5 minutes? I look for, okay, what's the smartest, most effective, minimum effective dose I can fit into these 5 minutes. And that's, it's a big deal.
Nailed it. That's exactly what I was hoping to. Like, as I said, you've absolutely crushed it. But what's been the biggest change that you've seen as a result of the Inner Athlete Performance Camp?
Confidence. My confidence inside the gym, how I attack different workouts, different lifts, different just different things in the gym, but also in life and work and everything else as well. It's not like I wasn't a confident person beforehand, but it's more of a belief in myself. I believe in myself more than I ever have. Maybe that's a better way to put it. I told you this story a couple weeks ago, just when I PR'd my snatch. And it was this moment when I was right before I was about to lift, and I was going for this PR snatch, and I've been chasing this for, over a year. And I just had this moment of clarity where I just knew 100% I was going to lift it, and it was going to be a success. And it was that split second of remembering everything I've learned, remembering my mindset, and just that complete belief and confidence in myself. And it was the easiest lift I had made all day. And that's kind of like a metaphor for everything that's been happening in my life. It's just things feel just easier than they ever have, which is amazing.
Perfect. How were you approaching snatches or 1 rep max attempts before we started this? Would there be what do you lead up to?
I always had just a bit of doubt. And it's not like the doubt's gone. It's just that the doubt before was more than the confidence. Now it's not like I'm living without doubt. I mean, of course, everybody has that, but now it's more like I know how to handle the doubt. I know how to kind of push that aside. I know the things to say to myself. I know the different things that can kind of stop that in its tracks, so that the confidence can take over the doubt part.
Nailed it. Let's go for what's the next steps for you.
Okay, next steps. So during this process, I actually got a job in England. So I'm moving to England in January with my wife, which I'm very excited about. So that's a big career move for both of us. So that's kind of the next step that way. In terms of CrossFit, I'm moving to the European regional, which is going to be much, much tougher than the Canadian regional. But I'm excited. I'm just excited for a new experience, a new challenge. And it's a very exciting time for sure.
Cool. It's going to be super competitive, but you've got everything you need, and you're 100% the athlete that you need to be to crush it and get to regionals again and take that next step as well. And let's finish off with, what would you say to someone who's maybe a bit hesitant of the Inner Athlete Performance Camp, or maybe considering joining it, or is listening to this podcast right now and it's somewhere in the realm of possibilities for them?
I would say that it's going to be a leap of faith, and you just have to be okay with that. But if you put everything into it, then you will get 10 times more out of it than what you put in. As long as you just follow what Tom's asking you to do, it's gonna be the best decision you've ever made. And that's I can't express my thanks and gratitude to you enough, Tom, because it's literally changed my life, and I know it will continue to.
Oh, thanks. That really touched me. These are so good for my ego, these type of things.
Yeah, I bet.
Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Not a problem at all, Tom.
I'm sure you can agree that is a fantastic episode. Really insightful, really useful from Jasper. Hopefully there's some insight into what you can start doing to start altering your mindset. I particularly enjoy her point about the minimum effective dose, and it is a point that massively influences athletes and has a huge effect on their mindset. Now, of course, like I mentioned at the beginning, if you are interested, please do check out mindsetrx.com/coaching, and you'll find out a bit more about that, or find me on the socials. And if you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review, let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you very soon for another episode of the Alpha Movement Podcast.